I'm going to talk about this film because I've just watched it tonight. There's a little bit of glare happening here, so I'm just going to try and angle it. It's called The Circle. Now, The Circle, it's very evidently about Silicon Valley. I'll actually read you what it says on the back, but this is, I felt when I watched this, that this was a message for Silicon Valley, who I'm becoming more acquainted with as they visit my blogs. I'm probably one of those that wants to be outside the circle, such as the diversity in our world. But everything in life is a teacher, and all contrast actually leads us to greater things in actual truth. But I want to read about The Circle. This is recommended viewing for everybody if you want to understand more about high tech, the future, smart cities. This is potentially where we could go. So I do believe it's a message for them. So what it says here is this thriller, they're calling it, is critically acclaimed. It's based on the novel by Dave Eggers, that's E-G-G-E-R-S, so you can look him up. He's got a book out on this subject. I'd say he was a Silicon Valley insider, would be my guess. It says, once you're in the circle, there's no way out. The circle is the world's largest and most powerful tech and social media conglomerate, spearheaded by the charismatic founder, Eamon Bailey, who's played by Tom Hanks. Their mantra is sharing is caring. It's actually one of my mantras. I laugh. And their philosophy is knowing is good. Knowing everything is even better. I've just had the firewall symbol just shoot out at my computer because I've turned them all off. I don't want them accessing my computer through security because I've got some interesting things to share about that. Anyway, I got distracted by the computer. See, this is the central message of the film. So I'm going to repeat that. The philosophy is knowing is good, knowing everything is better. I'm just going into stillness when I'm reading that because I'm actually feeling it. Is knowing everything better? Do I really want to know everything? For me personally, no. Through data mining, biometrics, spatial recognition, and tiny cameras placed everywhere, the circle has the technology to change the world. But one woman is about to discover the dark and deadly secret behind it all. Rising through the ranks, May, who is Emma Watson, she was in the Harry Potter film. She was a young girl. She becomes the first person to take part in the groundbreaking experiment called Sea Change. So Sea Change is a very tiny camera that they placed everywhere, and it was all real time. So not unlike, really the cameras we see in cars, and I'm quite certain there'd be a lot of these little cameras around. And, what do you do if someone puts it in your flat and you don't know? Anyway, that's another discussion. I'll read on. Where her whole life will be watched by millions around the world online. So what she's done is she's got a little camera that's attached to her 24/7, and she's basically becoming what they call transparent. So they use words like transparent, so, you've got nothing to hide, no secrets. Secrets are bad. Transparency is good. I just love that either or sort of, and how the audience, yeah, you're right, transparency. We don't like, dark secrets. So we can easily be manipulated is what the film is showing pretty clearly. So she wears this camera to make her entire life visible. And millions become voyeurs, if you like, online. But as her privacy, ethics, and personal freedom disappear, May realises the deeper you go, the darker it gets. The circle controls everything, but it cannot control her. So when I say this is a message for Silicon Valley, I felt that, and I remember sitting there going, wouldn't it be a message for the world? But the definite strong feeling I got was it's a message for Silicon Valley. And all the smart, cities, all the various high-tech centres around the world, like in China, it's for them as well. It's wherever the high-tech companies concentrate. So I thought I might just give some reflections on the film. I have seen it on Netflix, and this is the second time I'm viewing it. And I remember when I first saw it, I was pretty disturbed. So centralisation is the key theme here. May, who's the central character in this film, she comes to Silicon Valley. I'm going to call it Silicon Valley because honestly, it's definitely got the vibe of it. Obviously, I can't say definitely this is Silicon Valley. I can only tell you that this is my perception, and I think anyone who watches this film would immediately see it as Silicon Valley. It certainly looked like Mountain View in California, which is where they're based. And the actual design of it, I haven't actually seen the physical infrastructure of Silicon Valley or, there's the clustering of the high techs, but in this particular film, it's in a circle. But it looked to me more like a Kremlin. It was, it had walls, and actually the Pentagon went through my mind when I watched it. I thought it looks like Pentagon. So she comes into this new world, and it's, it's your drones going overhead. These are the fun things that we can do. We can do yoga over there. There's restaurants there. There's theatres. It looks like on the surface of it a really vibrant, youthful, exciting place. It's all about participation. People come to her, and they make it really clear to her that it's really important to participate, to be a circler, because they even give them jargon names, circler. She was a gubby because she was just starting out. So it's a place that can sweep you off your feet in the sense that it's high tech, it looks modern, it looks secure, all your needs are met, there's no secrets. It sounds like a utopia. And of course, the idea of utopia, I do think people are trying to replicate. So I'm going to just sort of go through it a little bit because I think it's significant. So in the film, May walks through foyers and there's all these young people, milling around. And then you see the tags, how they have the tags attached to each head. So, Susan Carew, blah, 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 who I am. It's probably a big, long list now. They might take them all to read my list. Or they might just go, Target, whatever. So I noted that, and you see, if you look into any sort of online YouTube videos talking about smart cities or cities of the future or these high-tech cities, you'll see those images with the tags. But I'm sure kids see it in the games too. Not that I'm across the games, I'm not, but I suspect that would be the case because we get... I'm always forgetting this word, but it's a great word. It's not cultivated, but it's similar. We get groomed. It's grooming. So things get introduced into our narrative, into our lives, which is a form of grooming. And that was really evident in the film when you had all these people who were circlers, really nice to May, finding out about her life, not that they didn't know, because they actually mentioned her father had MS and she was a bit surprised because the father was unwell, struggling, and she was struggling with her father's condition. But because they've got access to all her profile, as we do when we look at Facebook, and, these people have access to everything, all your friends. Are you having a problem right now? Let's all work together. Let's help each other. And I guess you either believe all that people actually care, and some might, I'm certainly not wanting to sound cynical, but I do see this sort of fake reality coming up where we're seen to be rather than really, saying what we think is true. All mind control, and, I'm just saying this because even in an economy, even in a society that has television, we're definitely being subject to mind control. Anything that's got a repetitive operant type of conditioning to it is a form of mind control. And then we might have benefits and punishments associated with compliance and non-compliance. Certainly in the welfare system here in Australia, I've had the experience, if you don't comply, you're going to suffer. You might be cut off benefits, which is what happened to me when I didn't comply. I actually believed I had freedom and I believed I had rights, and that's what I love about the film, because the film talks about human rights. But the right to this full spectrum knowledge, knowing everything. This is the way. And in the film, May, she gets kind of indoctrinated into the system. She makes friends, she gets to know people. But they have on her screen a numerical algorithm that is recording how people are perceiving her performance, and it's immediate. So the moment she's doing customer service about selling the circle, in a sense, to others, her number ratings are appearing on the screen, and so it's creating a pressure on her to do better and to do better, and it becomes a numerical grade. And of course, people might get that when they're doing sales. How much have you made this week? What about, your target is 20,000, you've only made 5. That's not good enough. So we often can get measured by numbers. How many, even the police have that too. I read that last year, that they, even in respect of, I think it was fines, I think they had a certain quota, which was pretty shocking, I think, when I heard that. And I thought, we don't want that. We don't want this type of thing. Anyway, going back to the film, she meets the creator of True Blue, which is the system running the circle. And he ends up going offline. He doesn't wear a tag. She actually has a bracelet that identifies where she is at all times. She also decided to go transparent, but before she met Tyler, the guy who produced True Blue, she wasn't transparent. And when she met him, he took her down into the bowels of what I see as Silicon Valley. I might not be. Forgive me, Silicon Valley, if I'm doing the wrong thing here, I'm not really meaning to. I'm just being honest. I really did see it as Silicon Valley. So, and I don't think what I'm revealing here is anything secret, to be honest. I think people are all talking about this, or many. So she goes to the bowels of the building with Tyler, and what he's showing her is where all the banks of information are going to be housing all the data. But what motivated him was he'd just come from a sort of a session where a politician had stood up, and she was going to become completely transparent. So her emails have been known. Every contact she makes is known to the public. So there is no privacy whatsoever in this experiment. All data is revealed. Now, the data mining can also be used against people if they're not in the circle, or let's say they're considered a felon. Let's say there was a certain, I'm digressing slightly, but there was a part in the film where May is becoming very powerful, and they're testing new software which can actually track and find, sort of a soul search, they called it, felons, or the so-called, in quotes, bad people that have, been able to slip out of the net of justice or what have you. And of course, there's real ethical questions around all of that too. Were they actually committing the crime? What if they were innocent? What about, those in high positions who are also engaging in criminal acts? What happens there? And they, because their influence, may well be liaising with those top people in the circle, get protected. So it can end up becoming a witch hunt, and that's what I was concerned about when I see that type of process where they go out chasing people. But, and people, because everybody's watching May, she's got over, she's got, millions and millions watching her. People locate, it becomes a hunt. They locate the person who they've indicated they want to find. And they're saying out of a worldwide audience, they reckon it will take 20 minutes. Well, in 10 minutes, the so-called felon was found. Harassed, humiliated, caught by police, and the police in this particular film are quite compliant with that. They like it because they catch the so-called baddies, which is interesting. It sort of throws out, it becomes like a hunting exercise where people are believing what's been said without a court of law, or so it means that anyone could just sort of make an announcement, this is the bad guy or bad woman or person of interest or dissenter or naysayer, whatever they want to label you as, and then go get them. And then once we locate them, we bring them to justice. Aren't we good? So, the idea of mind control with all of this is very much a very strong theme. And there was also another component to the film where Ethan, who is the mastermind who's running this empire, he's talking about voting. And, of course, it makes you think about, rigging elections too. But they talk about, or at least May brings up her idea of why can't everybody just vote through the circle, and then it has to be a requirement that everybody votes through the circle globally. And then you get control of voters and they should all participate. That validates whatever decisions are made. And if you don't vote or you don't become part of the circle, of course, the massive question there is the exclusion of those who are not circlers, they're called, those who don't want to participate on an online world, who don't want to share all their data, who don't want to pay everything online, who don't want their phones tapped. And I reckon there'll be a lot of people who do not want that. But what happens to the non-compliers of the world? And I'd certainly put myself in that category of non-compliance. I'm not interested. I'm not in agreement with any of the terms and conditions that have been put to me. I'm really not. I would much rather sacrifice all that accessibility for me in order to have privacy. So the film itself raises massive questions around full control, centralisation of data. And going back to this scene where May goes down into the bowels of what I see as Silicon Valley, and those banks of computers, and she's being shown by Ty, the guy who produced the True Blue type software. So he was a software developer who really started it all. And he's gone off grid because he's not keen on it at all. He sees the potential of people losing their human rights, losing control of their lives. Too much interrogation of people's data. Too much knowledge. And see, in the wrong hands, it can be dangerous. I mean, Google has as its catch cry, do no evil. I think it is, don't do evil. What they say. And and you just go, that becomes the central browser that the whole data traffic is searched through. I mean, even when I've tried to pull up Dogpile, There's actually a browser called Dogpile, by the way, and DuckDuckGo as well. DuckDuckGo is the one I like. I notice Google Chrome, I can't click on the extensions fast enough because it moves fast. And it's like you go, why does that move so fast? So I can't use DuckDuckGo. I know it's true because when I go on Internet Explorer, I can easily get onto DuckDuckGo. I can click on, the download of it, and it replaces Google. But I saw the tricks, you see. Make it hard so people don't, because they want everything to go through the one browser. So I'm just going to go still for a moment, because I think if there's ever been a subject of the century, it would have to be the centralisation of data, and this new world order is what I see, or reorder, which is all coming really from that epicenter in Silicon Valley. It's a very, very important conversation for the world to have and to vote on, but not through digital. We've got to find other ways to vote where they can't access, it can't be interfered with. That's the key thing. Yes, of course, we all want people to have a voice, and, yes, we'd all be happy to have a global community, but we don't want people feeding us algorithms or diverting us in this direction, or things appearing in the search, search optimization in the search engine. Something's being excluded because they don't want you to see it. It's like, no. I want to be able to go to a library. I want to walk down those aisles, and I want to make up my own mind which book I look at. This is physical library I'm talking about. I don't want someone, affecting the pathway into the library, so I go down a certain aisle and I miss all those other books. I want the opportunity to make up my own mind. I don't want someone making up my mind. I don't want auto-suggestion. I don't want predictability when I'm typing. I want to do and make my own mistakes. I don't want, just because I talk about a subject, that subject popping up. I absolutely am not interested in any of that. I don't want someone listening in on my conversation. I don't want someone reading my text. If I'm texting to my family member, I'm texting to my family member, not the circle. No, there's got to be privacy. And that was a really big theme here, because the mother and the father in this film, just going back to the film for a moment, Emma's parents, were just ordinary people. The father had MS, and because she'd gone transparent, she'd also had cameras around her parents' house, and they kind of just went with it. But then she calls them up, and because there's cameras everywhere, parents try and have sex, and that gets beamed around the world. Can you imagine that? We get embarrassed when a few people in our circle know a secret that we've got. And everybody has secrets, because they become secrets because there might be shame around it, or, they might have felt they made a mistake and they don't want people to know, don't want to be judged. We're very sensitive. So this sort of attitude of making it all visible, it's just totally not acceptable at all. Things have to be private, and we need to process stuff. It takes time. I do videos, and I've done plenty. In fact, when I was watching The Circle, I thought, well, my life's like that. I'm very open. I've done more than 500 videos. I'm extremely open. I even filmed, and this was inspiration, and people could say how inappropriate. But when my father passed away, I definitely felt strong inspiration to do a video, and I allowed people to see my grief. Same thing happened when I wanted to end my life. I also felt very strongly to communicate what I was feeling in the public interest. It was to convey something that I felt was important. Now that is transparency. And in The Circle, they're talking about people need to be transparent. Yes and no. In my case, I'm a communicator and I'm a teacher. So when I made things transparent in my own life, that was teaching as well. But I was coming from a very deep space of authenticity. I'm just going to go still on that because this was a theme brought up in the film, and I kind of want to go still on it because I've done it. Caring is sharing. See, that's why I did what I did. Because I had 2 videos where I wanted to finish my life the night before, and the next morning I was very drained, and I made a decision to communicate about it because it was in the public interest. But it was very much coming from a place of caring for others who may well find themselves in the same situation. So I made it visible. I never look at those videos again. They're still up, but I never look at them again. Even my dad's video, I've never watched again. I can't. It's actually painful for me to watch, so I don't. But the intention behind sharing in this way was to awaken others to be more compassionate, particularly if somebody wants to end their life. I was going through a very, very difficult circumstance for a long time. So what I've found in my life is I've confronted what I fear and I've shared it. And I've found for me personally, yes, there is benefit in sharing. There's also benefit in confronting the things that frighten us. But as I said, I'm a communicator. That's actually my nature. And I think I am making my life an example of what real democracy is, which is about communicating. The film talked about democracy and, you know, really getting everybody to join the circle, and then they all can vote. They can do everything from the one account. It's a bit like MyGov here in Australia, and that MyGov is not just Australian, it's in the United States. They are doing it. They're centralising information so they can monitor and collect statistics on it. You know, this is where the tension is with the technology. There's the seduction in knowing that you can get so much information, you can put it into bar charts, but the moment you do that, you depersonalise from the human condition immediately. The reason I know this is I remember filming, it was a counter-terrorism officer, I've talked about this before in one of my other videos, when I was in Bangkok. I did ask permission before I filmed, but I remember filming and he was talking about a very sensitive matter in the south of Thailand. And it was a massacre, actually. Massacre in the sense that people were asphyxiated. There was deaths involved, and it was in relation to police. And I remember being behind the camera and disconnecting from the emotional charge of the room. I really didn't pick it up. You know, there was a director there of the centre that I was at, and there was the guy who was speaking. He was getting increasingly agitated and uncomfortable with being filmed talking about such a sensitive matter. But because I was behind technology, I actually couldn't feel or empathise with how that person was feeling. So they did tell me to stop filming. They had to. The whole room knew except me. And that was a huge lesson for me at that time, because I just went, oh my goodness, I didn't even feel that. Didn't even notice, because I was technically looking through the camera. I was actually making sure, you know, that it was filming correctly and all the rest of it. I wasn't taking in the social emotional environment. And that would be my number one concern with all technology, is it disconnects us big time. Yes, there are positives to it. People can talk to their family. I've seen people Skyping grandchildren and loving it and all that sort of thing. So yes, there is that dimension that it can connect. But it also disconnects when people spend all their time looking at their phones and not each other. That's the really big issue with this. It's disconnecting them from the social skills that they need in order to respectfully interact with a wide range of people in their community, particularly the young ones who are growing up with this technology. They have no idea. They sit at the table and look at their phones. I've seen babies with phones, and now I'm very conscious of the radiation emitting from those phones. There's huge issues around the health effects of radiation, but it's not been talked about. Silicon Valley has to look at this. You have to look at the microwave radiation and its impact on the human biology. Can't just shove it to the side. The world is going to keep bringing it to your feet because, and it's not just Silicon Valley, it's all telecommunications industries around the world. It's governments, the ministers who are presiding over this technology. They have to address the health impacts of it, social emotional impacts, the data gathering, the profiting. The moment profit comes in, that's when it becomes problematic. The minute people can make money out of something, there's no holes barred. It's very problematic. Just felt I might show you something if I can get this thing up and running. Got a computer happening here. Here we go. Oh, it's gone down. It's gone to sleep. Oh, I wanted to show you that. Look at that. It's Windows. Can you see? Don't know if you can. Get closer. Your Windows 7 PC is out of support. Out to support? Out of support. And I'll read it. I just thought that was funny because I saw that. I just laughed. And it said, as of January 14, 2020, support for Windows 7 has come to an end. Your PC is more vulnerable to viruses. Coronavirus. I bet not. And malware due to no security updates, no software updates, no tech support. Microsoft strongly recommends using Windows 10 on a new PC for the latest security features and protection against malicious software. So that's your cybersecurity. That's very interesting. I'm just going to, it says learn more. It says don't remind me again and learn more. So I might see if I can learn more. I don't think I'll be able to. No. No, I can't. Oh, hang on. Hang on. No, it's trying to go online, but I have everything offline. So that to me is interesting. I just want to see if I can get another interesting feature up. So just bear with me. It's a bit hard doing this on my lap. Oh, it's giving me a hard time. Hang on. Okay, I'll see if I can get a feature up. One moment. Yes, I can. Good. It's doing a lot of spinning. See, what worries me about these computers too is I've had updates on my Windows and I'm not actually online, like I'm not accessing Wi-Fi, and it's trying to update. And I don't want the updates because I don't know what they're updating. I don't know if something's being downloaded onto my desktop. I don't know if it's spyware. I don't know what is going. I don't know who they are. And this is why I have an issue with it. It's like, and they go, oh, well, if you want to use our product, you have to do as we say. Well, I'm going, no. You have to serve the customer, mate. And if the customer feels their privacy might get breached, they're not going to be too keen. They might tick a box saying terms and conditions and agreeing, but there's no agreement here. This is not a mutual contract. There's a power imbalance. There's also an information imbalance because we don't know exactly what it is you're downloading. And given these associations that these companies are all having, these big high-tech companies, and their power is enormous. I remember I've just pulled down a paper, I've printed it from Microsoft, and it's talking about the centralisation of data worldwide. Exact same thing the Circle is talking about. They are also promoting cyber security, and I see that as similar to national security. Promoting it to governments who all have to be cyber, aware. You could have hackers. So the security becomes the reason why they can search every file and check for malware. Or, you know, these temporary files. I have questions around the temporary files. I saw a temporary file come up when I'm typing something. I've saved it. And then it automatically saves, but it saves a temporary file. And I saw it disappear. And I'm going, where is that going? Years ago, I could pull up a temporary file and actually recover the data. These days, I don't know where that temporary file's going. And if I'm typing up a sensitive letter, I don't want a high-tech company in the United States getting access to it. I don't want it. I might be raising issues about high-tech companies. And then suddenly my system crashes. There's a lot of people who don't believe in democracy. They don't. They see it as a problem. And I'm not saying that all people in this particular area are like that, but what I'm saying is I don't feel I'm being asked what I want. I don't feel included in this in any case. And access to me is not inclusion. Access to me is not voting. Access is not having a say in things that directly impact my life. Things like data are very, very important. People do all sorts of business where they don't want their designs stolen. They don't want competitor warfare through cyber hacking. We've got the militaries. I've looked at some military papers talking about the whole new theatre of cyber war. It's like, can we stop the wars? Can't we do better than this and use technology for good if we're going to use it? But we must look at the radiation first, because it shouldn't be allowed. If it's causing cancer, seriously, DNA damage, if it's going to be used to include and exclude, that's not in the public interest. If we've got foreign companies coming into countries controlling the government, because that's what it said in the circle, governments need us. Well, yeah, they need you because you've just made them dependent on one software. You've completely changed their system infrastructure with your own. We've got foreign companies housing government documentation. That should absolutely be a no-no. In any sovereign country, it should be no. We have our own software if we're going to use software. I personally would have hard copies. There's got to be ways to tackle this differently, I feel. This is just my opinion. I would like to see good done with this. You'll feel a lot better too when you know that people are loving you, not getting angry at you or terrified of you, but we don't know who we're dealing with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this computer. I don't know if it comes over very well. I'm in Event Viewer. I was actually taught Event Viewer by Telstra, who rang me and told me I was being hacked into by someone from California. I wonder from who. I do get Mountain View on my blog and Palo Alto. What's the other one? Cupertino? I don't know. See, I don't know these places. I didn't go and have a look, but I know it's Silicon Valley. I do know that. And I'm fascinated that they're interested in me. It's like, wow, why would they be concerned? Oh, is it because of the blog I did on the dark side of IT? Can't be that one. And I can see I've definitely got the US on my blogs, without a doubt, going through and archiving my blogs. And I'm intrigued by that because, it's like, okay, they are monitoring what's being said here. Now, if we're in a real democracy, I don't think that they would need to monitor. You could think that they could put all their energy into monitoring for random acts of happiness, monitoring for innovative, inspirational. I don't think that'll just go, no, it's boring. We don't want to do that. But anyway, let's look at Event Viewer. Is it that one? Now that's got today's date on it. I have no Wi-Fi, and yet the system, this little system here, is able to check. Like there's error messages here because things have been turned off. So I find that interesting, the error messages. So let's have a look. 2,424 events, tells me. Let's open it up. So I don't know if you can see, but that's inside one of those error messages. And I'll read it out. It says Microsoft anti-malware has encountered an error trying to update signatures. See, I don't know what signatures are. New signature versions, previous signature versions. What is that? Update source Microsoft malware protection center. And then it's got the malware protection thing. Now it's got today's date, and this one's at 9 o'clock. When I turned it on, all that came up. It's been these are all algorithms. Warning. Let's have a look at that one. Unable to connect Windows to unable to connect Windows is unable to connect to the automatic update service and therefore cannot download and install updates according to the set schedule. Windows will continue to try to establish a connection. Well, I'd be saying, no, I don't want you to establish a connection. I don't want you to update it. I really don't. I'm not wanting that. And they will say, well, hang on, we want everything unified. And that was said in the circle too. They want the whole world unified. They see this as interconnectivity. Everyone has to be on the same page. And obviously software is changing all the time. So they want to update it. But I don't want that. I'm not interested. I just want to use Word. Well, or an alternative. If there was an alternative available, I would actually use it, because I do not want a centralised data system here. I want to make sure that my data is safe, and I'm not at all confident. I'm not at all. I've already had cyber attack on my USB with sensitive files, so I know someone was looking. That was pretty disturbing when I saw that. You don't know what they're dropping on the hard drive. Most people don't know about. I would think most people wouldn't have a clue about Event Viewer. So let's have a look at some of they've got custom views, they've got administrative events, they've got Windows logs. Let's have a look at Windows logs. Okay, so this is Windows logs. So they log stuff. Everything you're doing, they're logging. I don't know if I want that. I don't get someone giving a course on this saying, okay, this is why they're doing what they're doing. I'm not informed or trained at all. I'm just imposed upon. And I'm supposed to go tick the box? Well, no, I'm not going to until I know what I'm dealing with, because I don't want people accessing my data. Okay, this one's security, and this is where I see the real issue is cyber security. Like national security, it gives people license, literally. They are licensed. You don't own the software, you license it quite deliberately so they can then access their product. It's always owned by them. In the past, and I grew up with computers from 17, we actually owned our own software. So that did not give them the right to come in and keep updating it, or remote access. I've even got things like this one is what I want to ask people about. Maybe someone can write to me and educate me. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, this is under security, right? I don't know if you can see, but I'll have to test it later to see whether you got through. It says, special privileges assigned a new logon. Well, what special privileges and who's assigning a new logon? That tells me that someone's logging onto my computer. How can they do that? It goes account name user. it goes account domain, and then it goes log on ID. And I won't say the ID because I don't want anyone to log on. It's just the source is Microsoft Windows security. And then it goes audit success. It says other things, but I'll just leave it at that. Now, when I saw that, I'm going, well, what is that? Let's look at another one, other systems something. This one's called other systems events. The Windows firewall service started successfully. I would be wanting, actually, that firewall shouldn't be starting successfully because they're saying nothing can update. I don't know. See, I don't also have an expert knowledge because I'm not an IT person like most people. And the reason we get suspicious is because we're not educated about it. And some of the more high profile, like the Cambridge Analytica, I'm very concerned about this collecting of data, the voice recognition, the facial recognition, the biometrics that was talked about in the film The Circle. And in fact, when May was having a discussion with this woman who was into biometrics, she was saying, oh, we can track children. The moment a child is not where it's supposed to be, we will be notified within 20 seconds. And she's going, really? Wow. And she goes, she's saying, how? I believe what was said. I had to listen a few times because I'm thinking, did I hear that right? Chip was embedded in the bone, is from what I heard. It could have been the phone. It wouldn't have been the phone because the phone already has a chip. So I'm thinking I did hear correctly. But that was disturbing, and May kind of went, she laughed because she thought it was not true. But it's like, you cannot chip people. We are not merchandise, commodities. I was born free. See, the Matrix comes up. I was born, naturally and free. Do we want a matrix? Do we want everybody? I'm sure there's a few in powerful positions who do want us all chipped. That's why we've got debit cards with chips in them now, not swipe. I don't want a chip. I've already deactivated the wave because you can see that that's going to increase expenditure. That's not in the public interest. That's in the interest of greed. There's nothing sharing and caring about that. It's all a one-way flow. They make more money. And I don't want a chip. I don't want a chip that can be picked up. The LED lights, I need to know about that. I've read that these lights can actually record. Where I'm traveling, I see a whole, there's probably about 8 or 9, 10 lights, let's say, maybe it's 8 lights in a row, LED lights over the road. They're all on. It's the middle of the day. Why are they on? They're saying it's sustainability. This is smart cities. It's not. It looks to me like they are monitoring. And then we've got all these lovely elaborate lights, these big globes. They're monitoring as well. This all came out of the United States. We're doing it here in Australia. One of the US admirals who was speaking at the Lowly Institute was saying that Australia was the pilot project for robotics and AI and automation. Pilot. I was never informed about that. If I asked, do I want Australia to be piloting AI automation, I'd be saying no. They might say, well, why is that? Because A, the radiation would be my first point. Driverless vehicles, I prefer to have a human in control. I don't want to be travelling around. What if it malfunctions? I don't want people to lose jobs with automation. I really don't. I want people to be employed. What are they going to do? Do they become the out crowd? They're the ones we don't want, the useless eaters. I mean, this is really incredible that it's being jumped on board with all the councils and governments. Yet the people, they say there's information. There's not. I've tried to access even the website for the government in respect of infrastructure, regional development, and cities. And I remember hitting a firewall saying it was dangerous for me to go further into the site. I'm thinking, it's a government site. How can it be a risk? It looked to me like it was blocking information. That worries me. See, that does not bring confidence to the public. These firewalls that they set up on certain websites, they don't want you to access them. But I always do, because I'm usually on a library computer, so it doesn't matter. I go straight in there, and that data's fine. That website's fine. And so it looks to me like someone has erected a wall. This is censorship. This is someone making a decision. We don't want people to look at that. I don't want people to make that decision for me. Obviously, if it's violent material, if it's sexual material, I'm not interested. I don't want to be exposed to pornography or anything like that. So I'm okay with those things, not being there, particularly if there's children. We have to have safety for kids. I've got behind me the rights of the child. So what happens with all this technology with them? They all get brainwashed into the circle type concept where we have the right to know everybody's information without the moral levy, without the ethical overlay, without developing empathy. I mean, I'm a teacher of peace myself. I was teaching children how we treat other people. I was teaching them to be sensitive to one another. I was teaching them about discrimination and how we can exclude or include on the basis of a characteristic or something we agree or disagree with. Could be high tech, could be you're not part of this system, you're not agreeing. I mean, I'm seeing even here in Australia, I don't have a phone, I can't get access. They insist on a phone. So I have to give them another number because the system won't process without a number, which means they're forcing mobile numbers, and I see that as tracking. I've been tracked. When I'd done nothing against the law, I was tracked. I've had a large organisation do it electronically. No respect for my privacy. I don't even know if I was being listened in on. Since I've been awakened to a lot of this, I've actually I don't use a phone. I can access one now, but I don't typically use it. I'm not comfortable. It feels to me like stalking. And I've already had the experience. I've had the experience of this. Electronic stalking, I've had it. And I don't want my movements monitored by anybody. That sense of freedom that the character in the circle, the one who created the True Blue software, who was the founder really, he wanted freedom. He didn't want to be known. I feel exactly the same. I don't want my every movement, my every breath, I don't want everything shared. I choose what I share and I do it in the public interest. But I'm not sharing everything. I am a very open person myself, very open. And I'm a person that will discuss any topic with anybody. But that's my nature. Some people are very private. Some people are not communicators. Some people would be horrified if they came out and talked about personal things. That needs to be respected. There is a definite line in the sand here, and I know that the high-tech companies in Silicon Valley are refiguring their terms and conditions with privacy and all the rest of it. But we're talking ethics here. It's like that only comes out of public pressure. The fact that it didn't arise naturally by having a sensitivity towards people, having an ethical state of mind, having a sense of morality and what's appropriate and what's not. And what I'm seeing with disconnected people, those who are very mind identified, those who have not developed that social emotional intelligence, they actually don't know what's appropriate or not. When we talk about, mindsets that have no empathy, then people can be at risk because there's no boundary. See, the emotions, the feelings, the sense of empathy for another person, by being able to automatically put yourself in their shoes. I notice a lot of people don't do this. I do it. I instantly go, I can see what you mean. I can imagine from your point of view that's how you're feeling. It's not how I feel, but I can respect that that's how you feel. And I'll honour that. This is what real connection is. It's really caring about other people and giving them the right to choose whatever they choose. It's not for me to impose my will on them and say, well, you're just going to have to fit in. If you want to access this, you've got to toe the line. Well, no. I have to become more creative in finding ways that enable everybody to have a win-win. That's very important. I'm just going to have another look at security here because I find it fascinating. We've got log on, special log on, and I'm just going, oh my God. Event shutdown. Here we go, service shutdown. The event logging service has shut down. Good. And that's because the computer was shut down. This was a while ago. And it's got system. I'll have a look at that. Information, system control. This has got 55,000 events, this one. So I'll just show you. Now I've got, it's time to restart to stay supported. This is what's popped up on my computer. We couldn't restart to update your device at the scheduled time. It may be off. It may have been off, had a low battery, or been in use. Restart now to stay up to date. Wait an hour or restart now. I'm quickly pressing it because I don't want it to bloody restart. My answer, if I had a third option, would be no. But I never get the third option. Wait an hour, they say, which means it's tacit consent. It's not consent. I've got no other option. I don't want to give you updates, sorry. And you're updating at all the wrong times. It's like I'm busy, and then it starts updating. No thanks. I don't want that. That's why they're saying wait an hour in case I'm busy. But I would just go, no, I don't want your update. I'm happy to fall behind. So that's some more data, algorithms. These are algorithms that are searching a computer. That's why it takes time for it to start up, because it's actually going through and checking everything. So this has got information, it's got errors. And when you have more errors, it's good because you get to see what it was that didn't start up. See, I turn everything off. I turn all the little panels off in privacy, meaning I don't give permission for them to access anything. I go through security, I go through everything, and I go, nah, don't care. And I'm off the internet too, so, on this one that I'm on now, it's the only one I use. But I'm not keen on it. Even this has had an automatic update today. See, that's really interesting. It says, it said unable to connect to update. But then it said in the earlier message that I wasn't able to do anything because it's out of, new policy from January. So you don't know. And I wonder too whether this algorithm thing, log-on thing is coming in through Wi-Fi, because this has got Wi-Fi. Like this hasn't got Wi-Fi in that I don't pay for Wi-Fi, right? But Telstra has Wi-Fi. Like, I'm just going to have a quick look. I'll take it off aeroplane mode, which I usually use. Let's have a look. So I want to have a look at Wi-Fi because I know they have, Telstra usually has one that's there. Oh, that'd be funny. It's not showing on this one. I wonder if it shows up differently on this one. I'm curious. Let me just have a look. It's showing 3 on this one. This one's showing a lot more. I wonder why. That's interesting. But what I normally see is Telstra Air. And then I wonder whether they can pluck things. So I don't know. This is why we speculate, guys, is because we're not fully informed. And this is how, you know, rightly or wrongly, people can either get it right or get it wrong. But what I do feel is when I see them getting children online, not keen on that at all. With the coronavirus issue, that's a big issue. I'm certainly not convinced by that either, given that high-tech people were involved in funding and patenting of the coronavirus. Not the patenting. The patent is by I don't know anything about the Pilbright Institute, but they're the ones that patented it apparently. And I'm no expert on coronaviruses, so I don't know which ones we're talking about. That was put out on the net, and it was somebody who went and looked for the patent, and they showed through their video the actual patent, the patent number. So I took that as evidence. Obviously, unless I can go and look for it myself, I can't know 100%, but I would say 99% that's likely to be true. So then I'm going, okay, well, why are people patenting a coronavirus? You know, why is a high-tech guy who founded Microsoft, why is he involved in vaccines? You know, there are questions around all of this stuff. And it's like then we've got the government saying, go online, everybody. 1, 2, 3, online. Then we've got state government saying, you know, all children must stay home. Then we've got the federal government here saying, oh, no, the children can go back to school. They're fine. They're not going to pick up coronavirus. And then the state governments are saying, no, it's dangerous. Then we've got Teachers Federation, you know, the union coming out and saying, no, it's not safe. So what's the truth? I talked to early childhood teachers who said the kids were all in the daycare centre. So how does a child's health differ from an adult's health? And they might say, well, immunity. Well, they're saying that no one's immune to this virus. So how does that work with children? Given children pick up viruses far faster and they spread them. Any parent knows their children often get sick at school. Teachers get sick at school. So it doesn't make any sense to me in that regard, and it does raise suspicions about it. And the fact that the World Economic Forum had its simulation in October last year, funded by the Bill and Belinda Gates Foundation. Last year it was funded, and we had some experts from Australia apparently who were part of the global leadership, and they're on the Coronavirus Commission. This is senior Department of Health, ex-Department of Health bureaucrat was there. It doesn't look confident. I mean, I'm not confident when I see that there's been a simulation of a worldwide global pandemic, and then 3 months later it starts in China. Apparently around that October time, let's just track back 3 months, there was some sort of military conference in Wuhan in China, and then there's speculation around that. So it's like, okay, if biowarfare is going to become a theme here, this is very problematic for the humanity. Who's to stop someone releasing something? Why are we investing in biosecurity? How is there a security in releasing these things? What happens if the next one kills off a lot of the population? There's also been talk about the virus being edited, SARS, and then you start to think, well, was SARS created? What about AIDS? If they've been created, we can't allow this. This cannot be allowed ethically. Puts the population of the world at risk. So then what happens? We all go online, which seems to be the big drive here. I'm not keen on that. I don't want to be identified every time I go online. I don't want my computer serial number known. I don't. If I want to create something in privacy, I want to do it in privacy. But then on the other side, the tension is they want to know who everybody is. And then this becomes translated into everything we do and say. It's very much looking like an Orwellian setup here. And when I see films like this, that's the message of the film. Be concerned about this. I mean, in the end of the movie, May sets up the two power brokers at the top. She makes them go transparent. They've got secret accounts, probably different cable networks. They have their own private networks. And she then turns it on them. So where they're trying to access everybody's data, and it's funny, the character that Tom Hanks plays, he turns to his buddy and he goes, "We're screwed." I think there's a message here. It's not coming from love. We can do better than this. So I send love always, and I know they might not think I'm sending them love by doing a video like this, but I am. I'm sending everybody love because we know not what we're doing. And there's a huge responsibility in the centralisation of data gathering and so-called cybersecurity, the infringement on people's privacy and rights under the theme of cybersecurity. But we've got to look at, why do people hack into other people's computers? I mean, it all tracked back to greed. Why can't we do the tracking in that direction? Why can't we look at ourselves? Why do you want an empire? Why is it the last big fourth industrial revolution? Why can't we be directing all that money into actually creating homeostasis on the planet? Why can't we create eco-villages? Why can't we live in peace? Why is it just endless wars one way or another? Men are still fighting. At what point do we give it up for the love of peace and the love of truth? The Circle is the name of this film. Why not make it a spiral of growth? Not just a closed circle, which is a circuit. Why don't we make it something that helps us to grow? So my wish for Silicon Valley and the various other centres for high tech is wisdom. What I'm sending you actually tonight is have a rethink about what you're doing. I know there's been a lot already put in place, and you may not want to turn into any other direction. You might want to continue with this. But we could wind up with such an unhappy world, you know, and really, I don't know, is it possible for a rethink? I just don't know who's involved at the top. I might just go still for a moment, then I'll finish because I'm getting very tired. The feeling I'm getting to say is to go into nature, go for a really long walk in the natural world, put your feet in the water, and simply ask yourself the question, will this truly bring me happiness? Am I truly facilitating a better world. What would be for the highest good of humanity? What is driving me truly? What sort of world do I want my grandchildren to inherit? Because what I do to other people's children, I do to my own. See, and now I'm getting the strong vibration about children's Bill of Rights, the rights of children, but I'm seeing a Bill of Rights. Because I think the backlash is going to come in through the children when people see that they're losing empathy because of the neural networks. I want you to really focus when you're out in the bush, walking in nature, because nature will help you too. It bring you peace. I want you to really deeply contemplate the future of children. That's what the message is of this video. And it's the same message I sent to the governments, the councils, the businesses. You need to think about the grandchildren, children and grandchildren. I've raised a lot of issues in this, and maybe I've been a bit confronting, and I apologise if I've come across that way. I obviously have issues with it. But I'm open as well. You can always write to me instead of going onto my blog. I will respond, definitely. I'm for that. But the feeling I'm getting definitely is the rights of children and the sort of brave new world that appears to be orchestrated under the name of smart cities or smart world. Is this truly going to serve the highest interests of the children in respect of why they're here and what they want to do, their dreams? Is it also going to be in harmony with the natural system, given it's all high-tech, algorithm, technology-based big time? Is that what it's all about? And the last one, I guess, I'll get you to contemplate if you choose to, because I can only put this to you as suggestions with great love. Whether you take it on or not, it's up to you. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and we live on from here. We've lived before. Each soul comes onto the earth to live out an experience. The reason freedom is often spoken about is to allow that natural spiritual talent to unfold, because there's greatness in every single human. Now, if that frequency gets dumbed down, truncated, rewired, then you're interfering with the very nature of purpose on this earth. Spiritual part of ourselves is nature as well. Same thing. So when you start playing with nature, it's a little bit like playing with matches, children playing with matches. You know not what you're playing with. The natural system, the natural order, all works around not centralisation but oneness. The system is always communicating for the highest good of the whole system. The life on Earth has taken 4 billion years through genetic modification based on natural selection to live optimally with its environment. So the actual genetic coding, if you like, of the natural system has been resilient because it has adapted with nature. We can say and overlay terms like it's adapting to change, but it's actually adapting to nature. because nature is what supports every species on the planet, including us. So when you go out into nature on this walk, if you choose to do that, really go into your own truth on the matter. And of course, I would support anyone, even if I don't agree with them, I would support their right to choose. I wouldn't be forcing you to tick a box to access, the peace curriculum. I'd be saying that you can choose to come to my website or not. You'll be given access no matter what you choose, because I love you. And I would want whatever makes you happy. And an algorithm's not going to do that, because the algorithm doesn't care. And that's the whole argument around the AI and all the rest of it. We don't want to lose the beauty of us, because we really are magnificent. And nature is mind-blowing. We want to live on this planet. We don't want to die out because we didn't know how to work in harmony. So I'll leave that with you. I've done a big video. It's so unusual for me to do that, isn't it? And I send you all love and peace. Take care. Bye.